of racing song and singing the first song of racing, Jenny Spillman, and Back Home Again in Indiana.
I have always been a wanderer over land and sea, yet a moonbeam on the water cast a spell o'er me. A vision there I see, again I seem to be back home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see the gleaming candlelight still shining bright through the sycamore for me. The new mown hay sends out its fragrance from the fields I used to roam. When I dream about the moonlight on the Wabash, then I long for my Indiana home.
All right, thank you so much for that. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is David Rick, and I'm the president of Crown Hill Cemetery and the Crown Hill Heritage Foundation. And it is great to have everybody back in person finally after 3 years to celebrate our Racing Legends program. For those that may be a little unfamiliar with the foundation, our mission simply is to preserve and celebrate Crown Hill. But what I like to say is we're storytellers. We tell the stories of many of those who've been laid to rest here at Crown Hill. And so back in 2017, when the Indiana Racing Memorial Association came to us and said, we want to put one of our historic markers here at Crown Hill, we jumped at that opportunity to tell the story of the so many racing legends that are here. So with the installation of the marker, to the laying of the bricks, to the unveiling of the medallions back in 2019, we are so excited to be here to kind of put a bow on this, if you will, and launch our self-guided app that will be able to share the stories with so many of you and so many of the public of our racing legends here at Crown Hill. So I want to take this opportunity to thank IRMA, the Indiana Racing Memorial Association. They have been an invaluable partner in what we're trying to do here in sharing the stories of our racing legends. So without them, we wouldn't be here today. So I'm glad they brought the idea to us 5 years ago, and I'm glad that we have maintained that partnership throughout. So let's give IRMA a round of applause. I also want to thank all of you who have generously supported this program for the last 5 years. Through your interest in coming out to these events and through your financial contributions and allowing us to do this. We are so excited to be here today and launching this app and sharing the stories of our racing legends here at Crown Hill. So I hope everyone enjoys it. Enjoy your time here at Crown Hill. And again, we are so lucky to be able to share the stories of those here at Crown Hill. Thank you so much. And at this time, I'd like to welcome Mark Utzler up to the podium. He is the co-founder of our great partner, the Indiana Racing Memorial Association.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Conversations have consequences, and it was about 8.5 years ago that I had a conversation in a house in a living room on Rookwood, which is just east of Butler. It's where my fellow co-founder, Brian Hassler, lived. We were getting ready to go to an event at the Indiana War Memorial with Governors Whitcomb, Kernan, and Pence at the time, and we were talking about what would become IRMA. About 40 days later, we had our organizing board meeting at the IndyCar corporate headquarters. And 7 months after that, the first marker went up on the 100th anniversary of Winchester Speedway. So to say that we're amazed by all we've done would be an understatement, because we thought we might do 2 or 3 a year, and we have 47 Indiana markers installed, 4 national markers, 2 in Illinois, 1 in California, 1 in Texas, and a cenotaph in a cemetery in Slidell, Louisiana, honoring or memorializing Arthur Chevrolet. And it's just been amazing. About 20,000 people have come to our events. We have raised in excess of $160,000 to put these markers up from local areas and sponsors. So we have a lot of thanks to give to, as well as those who sponsored the medallions that will mark the graves, in addition to this fabulous wayfinding app, walking, driving, interactive tour. It's really quite exciting, elegant and professional, and can't thank Marty from Crown Hill staff enough. Wherever she is, she's out probably organizing something, because that's what she does. Just a lot of work. Mary Ann, thank you, and David, we really appreciate the invitation. And on the horizon, 2 weeks from today, we have an unveiling at Whiteland Raceway with Sarah Fisher and her husband Andy O'Gara to unveil a marker there. And then watch for some exciting things that will be happening in the town of Brownsburg, which we plan to have a trail of markers there that the Parks Board has approved in concept. So be on the lookout for that. It's pretty exciting. And we just thank you all for coming out today. Our membership program is being relaunched, so Barbara Hellier in the tent. Barbara, come out and wave at everybody. There she is. See Barbara if you would like a membership. If you don't have money with you, just sign the sheet. You can get a pin and a decal today, and then we will invoice you. And believe me, you pay attention when Barbara invoices you, because you want to be sure and not go unpaid with Barbara. But we appreciate everything she does, and appreciate those of you that support us through the membership. It's very much appreciated. Bob Gates, thank you. Bob has some people that we want to recognize. He knows who they are and what they've done better than me. So Bob is on our executive team and board of directors, and has written several books on racing. And as I always like to say, if you don't have a Bob Gates book in your racing library, you really don't have a racing library.
As always, thanks, Mark, and your check will be in the mail later this week. Good afternoon. Again, welcome to everyone that came out today. Just wanted to take a minute to thank the people that brought these cars out. Of course, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum that sent out Carl Fisher's 1905 premiere. Quite a history behind that. But also Dr. Robert Dick, sitting back here, who brought out his Parnelli Jones tribute car. And then Mike Lynn, who brought out this beautiful Miller dirt car. And we just want to thank them, for, of course, for doing that. Kind of late additions, we have a Corvette pace car that Tom Bueller drove and agreed to put in the lineup, and then the Chrysler pace car back there. What is that? 1963 Chrysler pace car. Mike Bucher and Steve Jones brought that out. So just a big thanks to all. Oh yeah, I did want to introduce some other people there. Mike Lashmuth, I don't know where Mike is with Vintage Indy. Ted. Ted had just got the new Sweet Savage book published, and hopefully the sales are going very well on that. Merle Bentonhausen. We had to have a Crown Hill staff member get him here.
You know what I say, Bob? If you're an old race driver, if you had to turn any other way than left, you got lost.
That's right. That's right. But no, Merle, you don't have to speak today. And Jim Hurtubise, his daughter Pat, I heard was going to be here. She might be at her father's mausoleum and be over here shortly, unless I'm just missing her in the crowd. So just, again, we want to thank all of you for coming out today.
Thank you, Bob. I'd like to recognize our other IRMA board members who are here. Sherry Tucker in the back, in the black and white. And Dave Bozell from Columbus, Indiana. Sherry lives in Speedway, by the way, and Bob from Greenwood. Who else is on our board? Greg Sickmeyer's on our advice. Yes, there he is, from Indianapolis, isn't it? Yep, Indianapolis, good. Anyone else?
Brian.
I may have missed.
Brian.
Oh, Brian Wilcox. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Brian Wilcox, who arranged for these fabulous programs you have in your hands, and Crystal Graphics donated the printing on that. So really do appreciate that. And Laura Steele, I see in the audience. Laura, stand up. The great package you did for Channel 13 that has lasted a whole month. Yeah. And this morning, that's what I
Well,
mean.
they didn't write it, but they talked about it.
Yeah, they talked about it, and so that's great. You should have worked out a royalty deal for that. That was fabulous.
Thank you guys.
And I think David was also on the air with
Yes.
Terry Stacy this morning on WIBC about this event. So a friend of ours who's a writer in Slidell said, you know, why do you go to the cemetery? Because that's where the history is. So there's lots of history here, and it's got the interest of a lot of people. And now, please welcome our keynote speaker from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Radio Network, Jake Query.
Okay, well, first off, I guess I'll do it this way. It is short. I want to thank everybody for coming out today. It's perfectly appropriate that Back Home Again in Indiana would be sung a few minutes ago because, you know, after that, everybody's heart rate goes up, right, when you hear Back Home Again in Indiana. And my number one fear in life is public speaking, and my heart rate right now is at like 150, so it's perfectly appropriate that Back Home Again would lead off things here today. When David called me a couple weeks ago, a month ago or so, and asked if I could come out today, I said absolutely. It would be a tremendous honor, not just because of those that are honored here at Crown Hill, but for a couple of different reasons. If you've ever seen the movie Rent, or actually the play, theatrical performance on Broadway of Rent, the song in it, of course, is 525,600 minutes. That's how many minutes are in a year. And the key numbers today that I think about are 559 and 555. Because the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is 559 acres. Crown Hill Cemetery is 555. And the thing that both of those have in common is they are inherently, those acreages combined, part of who we are. When I was a kid growing up in Indianapolis, I loved Indianapolis. And truth be told, I fell in love with Indianapolis before I fell in love with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That's probably sacrilegious to say, I realize, but it's true. The reason I love the Speedway is because the first word in the name of the Speedway was Indianapolis. And I knew that it was the place that showcased who we are and what we're capable of, and the entire world was looking at our city for a day. And that meant the world to me. And everybody has their own traditions and their own everything about their family and the people they sit near and the people they have their tickets with. That's what makes the Indianapolis Motor Speedway so special. And truth be told, it's what makes Crown Hill Cemetery so special as well. Because Bob Jenkins, who rests just up the hill here, along with his wife Pam and their dogs, by the way. Bob Jenkins I worked with on the radio network, and when I was a kid, I would tape the Indianapolis 500 radio broadcasts, and then I would listen to them on the way to school, which is why I was one of those going very quick on 82nd Street on the way to North Central High School, right? Because I'm listening to 500. But I listened to it all the time because I love the history of it, and I love the personalities of the 500. So to be able to be put in a position where I was working with Bob Jenkins on races from time to time was an incredible thrill and honor to me. But I'll never forget one of the first times I had a conversation with him aside from our broadcast together. And he said, "Jake, you and I have one thing in common." And I said, "Okay." And I'm thinking, yeah, I love the race, right? And he said, "I also love going to cemeteries." And I thought, hell yeah, this I can get on board with. So Bob was somebody that loved going when we would go to different races or we would go different places. He loved seeing the historical figures that were their final resting place, whether it be racers or people historically speaking. He found a fascination with it, and I do too, which is why it's perfectly appropriate that he's one of the voices now on the Racing Legends tour that people will hear. To hear somebody that has a love and passion for those people that you're visiting, in addition to a love and passion for the history that goes into it. But my point, long-winded and circuitously perhaps, is this, and that is that the Indianapolis 500 is so special and so unique to all of us because it intertwines so many fabulous stories, which is exactly what Crown Hill Cemetery does. It is true that what we're here today to do is to kick off an opportunity for people to be able to come around and see the historical figures here. But there are, since 1864, nearly 250,000 people who call Crown Hill their final resting place. And every one of them, when you go past and you look, is somebody who was unique, somebody who was special, and somebody who has their own personal, individualized story. And it's true that we celebrate those that participated in the story of the race that we so love, but at the same time, don't lose sight of and don't forget that every single headstone you see here is somebody that during their time on Earth to someone else was the most special person that existed. And so I think it's important when we come out to Crown Hill to celebrate not only that it's the fiber of Indianapolis, that it's the fiber of who we are, but it also is a place where all of those stories are here for us to keep alive, for us to discover, and for us to learn about, so that we know that ultimately when we ourselves come to Crown Hill, that the spirit of who we are and what we do continues for everybody. And that, of course, holds true again next Memorial Day weekend, when I will see every one of you there when we again collectively celebrate the spirit of who we are. Thanks so much for coming out today.
Thank you very much, Jake. We have a surprise. You all like surprises? Yeah. But you're going to love this one, because Laura Steele has agreed to say a few words, and she knows about this place. If you've seen what she's done on WTHR with this, as well as a lot of things in racing, she has been around a long time, and we run into each other a lot, and are always appreciative of your support of IRMA and racing in general. So Laura, give us a few words.
I would love to. Hi, everybody. I'm going to put these flowers down right here by the bricks. These are courtesy of Judy McAtee, who's loved Buddy McAtee. Loved one is buried over here. He does indeed have one of the most incredible headstones on this tour. Buddy McAtee was the first one to hire me in broadcasting out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and that's probably why I stand here with you now. He was the president of IMS Productions, a family friend, so I'm here with his widow, Judy McAtee. So she also, I wanted to let Mr. Bentonhausen know that she did some shining up of your loved one's headstone the other day. So it's all nice, bright, and shiny, and so is Buddy's, and you guys will see that on the tour today. I will be laid to rest here. I have a plot here. Don't go visit me. I'm not there yet. My mom is buried just two fields over here, two sections over in 46. So is my little brother, Brad. And when I found out, and I want to say that Jake Query was the one, somebody mentioned to me, there are bricks going in, and they're going to be right down the way from Carl Fisher's mausoleum. And I thought that was so cool. So my mom and I would come over and bring a checkered flag. Once these bricks were put in, that's one of my checkered flags I always bring in the month of May. So that's stayed here up until this point. So Jake, thank you for telling me about this and then hearing about it through IRMA. And then that led me into my coverage for Channel 13, the home of the Indy 500. I said to the news director and the producers there, I said, you know, my mom is buried at Crown Hill, family members are there, and I know that there are a lot of racing legends. Somebody needs to do a story on this in the month of May. And the news director, who had been there for 11 years, said, I didn't know that. And I said, we got to tell the story. So just this past May, we came out. Channel 13 brought the big guns. They brought a drone. So if you saw the feature, I thought, I met the guys who brought the drone out, and I said, you brought a drone for it? And thank you to David, Rick. Thank you so much. David was part of that Channel 13 feature. But the first stop that we made, just to bring it full circle, well, the first stop I made was to see my mom. and my little brother. And then the next stop that I made was to Buddy McAtee with the crew. And I stood there with the photographer and the producer, and I said, Buddy McAtee was responsible for television production, responsible for radio, responsible for everything that we see on the TV and hear on the radio before he passed away. And I'm here because he hired me, and I just started to cry. I thought, I can't cry before I'm doing a TV story, but I did. So that brings us to here today. The people, maybe you don't know their names, maybe you guys don't know who Buddy McAtee is. You'll find that out along the way on the tour and learn about these wonderful people that are associated with the most wonderful race in the world, the Indy 500, and the best track and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway here in our backyard and just 6 miles from here. So if you haven't seen the story yet, you can go to WTHR or just Google it and you'll find it. Thank you to Jake for tipping me off on the bricks. Thank you to David, and thank you for having me. I would have dressed up. I just put on a little jumpsuit for you today, but I would have worn checkered if I would have known. But thank you, and enjoy the tour. It's going to be something special.
Okay, how about those flyovers? You know, Marty Davis doesn't leave anything out, and you know, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, I think there were 2 flyovers. I think we've had at least 5. So Marty, I don't know how you do it, but thanks. She doesn't even want to take credit for it. Anyway, please welcome Marty Davis, Public Relations and Tour Manager here at Crown Hill Heritage Foundation and Crown Hill Cemetery. She is responsible for much of what you see in this app, if not basically all of it. And get your phones ready because we're about to go.
Thank you. Thank you. So you'll see on the back of the program the instructions, back of the inside of the program, the back of this page here. Turn it over. Has anybody scanned the QR code and downloaded it onto your phone yet? That's what we're going to do right now if you're interested.
Do you have instructions for a guy with one arm?
That would be to see me, and I will help you.